Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This video is going to be how
I proposed.
he proposed. But one thing that I forgot, I don't know why, but after I posted our last video, how we met, which you can find below, I didn't add that on the way home from our first date that I texted Lauren, Heaven, Hannah, and Jacob, all saying that I was going to marry him. Literally after the first date, I'm like, I'm going to marry this guy. Watch me. Watch me. And they thought, kind of like shrugged it off. But I was kind of serious. Now look at us. So, into our engagement, kind of a little bit of like the backstory. We were together for 6 months. Yeah, it was 6 months that we were together when he proposed. Actually, was it to the day?
No, it wasn't to the... yeah, it was to the day. Was it to the day? I don't know. It was 6 months.
It was really close. It was either the 26th or 27th, right?
It's 28th, so it was close.
Oh, it's the 28th?
Yeah, it's 28th. So we were close.
Well, yeah. we would always we always do monthly dates, or we try to, and it's usually around like the 20th.
20th,
yeah.
28th, 26th, 27th,
really?
28th. Yeah, it's somewhere always around that. Anyways, so to make a really long story short, let me just get in the proposal because it's easier that way.
Long story short, I did pick out my ring.
Yeah, that's valid information.
Before, just because I would try rings on. I'm like, that's ugly. Like, it looks ugly on my hand.
It looks good until it goes on your hand. There was a few that looked really good on your hand, but looked ugly.
And he would even agree. Like, it took us a hot minute. Like, we went to 2 different jewelry stores, but, like, multiple times. Like, I kept trying them on. I didn't like any. And finally, I found one. I'm like, actually, I was with my mom, dad, and my sister because she was in town. And I called him. He was playing, what were we playing? Witcher?
I was playing Fortnite.
I called him. I said, hey, I found this ring. Get down here and buy it. Kinda.
It basically was.
Much.
And I came down there and I was like, oh my gosh, this ring's perfect.
Yeah, so.
It just happened to be like the perfect
ring. I knew he
ring.
bought it. Like, I'm not stupid. So I knew he bought it, and I was expecting it, but it was around November that I picked out that ring because Lauren always comes up for Thanksgiving. So I knew it was coming up, but we didn't know, like, I didn't know when he was going to propose.
Yeah.
So
it was kind of like stars aligned on that.
Yeah.
That we found that perfect ring at that time.
And that's where, like, the engagement kind of goes with, we always go on date nights. It's always literally like, well, next week is the Meltdown, which is where he proposed. So we're going to that for the date night. But
when year?
I'm pretty sure it was the 27th.
It might have been 27th.
But anyways, we always do a date night, usually towards the end of the month. So that's what we're doing this month, is going back to where he proposed.
Mm-hmm. So am I getting into how I proposed, how I went about it?
Go for it.
So anyway, I was to make a long story short, I was in the living room at her house with her mom, and we were sitting there, and I said, anybody knows me knows that I like to be extra, and I like to be outgoing and doing all these, like, just, I like to make the biggest scene possible. So,
hey, when did you ask me out?
26th.
To be my girlfriend? Or to be my girlfriend?
To be my girlfriend? You mean 26th?
It was, because it was on a Thursday.
So
it literally was down. Wait.
You're reading too much into it.
I'm
so anyway, we were sitting there in the living room, and I said, hey, I want something huge to propose at. I wish there was an event.
It was literally our 6 months.
I wish there was an event.
Remembered.
I wish there was an event going on. And her mom was like, well, the Richmond Meltdown's coming up. She's naming all this stuff. And I said, hey, isn't that the ice event where they make all the ice sculptures? And she said, yeah. And she goes, wouldn't it be cool to carve something? And I was like, I was like, yeah, that'd be really cool to have something say, will you marry me? And I didn't expect anything huge out of that first. So make a long story short, I contacted them and I didn't hear back for about a few days.
The ice.
Yeah, the ice makers.
Sculptors.
We'll call them the sculptors.
People that do ice carving.
They're really talented, really good at their craft. So I contacted them and they didn't answer back for a few days. And then I was like, you know what? I just scrolled through the website and found a person who just happened to be like the best one out of all of them. He really was. He's in charge of the whole show. And, well, I don't know if he's in charge, but he's the best. And, it shows his family, hobbies, stuff like that, and he's a huge hunter. So I was like, okay, I'll click with him. So I messaged him, I emailed him, and then he texted and called me back, which worked out. He was like this on it. And he goes, hey,
didn't you?
I'm in Missouri.
Other people?
Yeah, but nobody messaged back except for him. And he messaged back so quick, and he's a family guy, and he was really nice about his stuff. He goes, hey, I live in Missouri and I'm going to be there a week in advance because we got to set things up or whatnot. And he said that I'll be there and I'll meet you there a few days prior or the day before. And I was like, a day before? I was like, well, that's going to be a lot of planning before that. You know what I mean? But him and me text a whole bunch and stuff like that. And I never delete text, by the way. And I had to keep deleting them. I had to because I didn't want her snooping. So
I don't know. I hate surprises, and I knew it was coming up. Obviously, if I bought we picked out a ring and stuff, and I would unwrap my Christmas presents and rewrap them. I found out for my 16th birthday that I was going to a Blake Shelton concert in February, and we were going in July to the concert. No one can ever.
She don't like surprises
from me,
and I love surprises, so she hates it.
So he was being very secretive. So I knew,
she doesn't like me because I don't like it.
Up.
So,
I knew it.
To make a long story short, I contacted him. I got a hold of him. We went to the event that night. The day before, me, her dad, and my dad went and met with him.
They said they were going to Frames, and they wouldn't let me go. I'm like, I want to go.
It's an archery shop around here.
No.
And
only boys.
And there's a boys' time. So we went to it, and
except his dad. His dad was being nice to me.
He's like, you can go. And I was like, Dad. I was like, no. And he was like when we went outside, he goes, oh yeah, we're going to meet Eric, aren't we? I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, never mind then. I was like, Dad, really? So we went to it, and we met him. He gave us the rundown. He said, hey, what we're going to do is you're going to be out in the crowd. There's a lot of people out in the crowd. And during the throwdown, which is on Saturday nights, is where the best sculptors versus the other sculptors, Team Fire versus Team Ice, go head versus head. And he said, what we're going to do is I'm going to carve a will you marry me out of ice. It won't take no time for him.
With a heart.
Yeah, with a heart, which will show a photo of it.
We'll add it.
Now. Okay. But anyway. So
you seen the heart sculpture?
Yeah, you saw the heart sculpture. Oh my gosh, I can't say it. Sculpture. And he's really good. And he said before the throwdown, I'm gonna say, hey, the best guy on Team Ice versus the best guy on Team Fire. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying Team Fire versus Ice. Best the captains go head versus head. And they said 60 seconds for to create.
They're gonna compete in 60 seconds.
So he's sitting there. Eric's just yawning at 30 seconds. He's he starts going.
At the event yet.
Well, okay. At the event, I told her, hey, this is her side. You can tell that side.
We gotta back it up a little.
What?
So he told me for this event, again, we already knew that we were going on date night, and
yeah, I kind of skipped that, didn't I?
He told me hey, make sure you look good. Not like that.
I said dolled up.
Pretty much he knows that I will go on a date with no makeup and leggings and a sweatshirt, and I'll be perfectly fine. So what he was pretty much hinting at is, do your makeup, do your hair, make sure you feel like you look good, things like that. So I did. I did my hair, makeup, and actually, I really didn't think, he told me that it was going to happen Saturday and Sunday, I had to look good both days. for the most part. And I was like, well, I don't work Sunday, so that's when I really felt like he might propose. But I was like, I don't know, because I worked Saturday, and I got off work, did my hair and makeup, I was exhausted. I actually didn't even want to go to the Meltdown, because it was like -40.
It was not.
It was
dramatic.
So cold. It was so
cold.
cold.
I love the cold, so.
I did not want to do it, but he got me out there, so.
I put so much work into it because I contacted the sculptors. I did it. I contacted a photographer. I contacted a whole bunch of people. I went through a lot of. I even talked to the mayor of our town.
I told him that if he proposes, he better have a hidden photographer capturing the moment, which he did.
And so can I fast forward a little bit now?
Yeah, so now we're at the event. And I'm grumpy because it's freezing cold, and my toes, I cannot feel them. My legs are frozen. They're like popsicle sticks.
And yeah, so
we're at the event. It's Team Fire versus Team Ice.
And he's like, okay,
we need radio station is there.
We need volunteers. And I was like, Eric already knew where I was, so I'm like, ooh. And he calls for me.
I am not the person that wants to be in the middle of anything.
I love it.
He's loud.
I love it.
And when he raised his hand, I'm over here like
just slinking away, and I loved it. And I was like, we got picked, and we went over there.
No, we did not get picked.
I got picked, and I said, "Come on."
They only said one person, so I'm like, "I'm not." He goes, "Come on." I'm like, "I'm not going. You raised your hand. You go." And he goes, "Come on."
I never get snippy with her, but I was getting snippy. I was like, "Come on."
He got snippy. I'm like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah, it had to happen.
So,
it had to happen because I needed her over there. Because all this stuff that I did.
Realistically, I did not think my freaking legs were gonna go over them little
barriers, bars,
like them wooden things. Have like those two things, and then it's like that. Yeah, I did not think my legs were gonna go over it because they're so numb.
And
I couldn't feel them.
Fun little fact during it when we were standing there. Her family was hidden in the crowd, and so was my family. And my brother and my cousin walk up. My brother's like, well, like waving. I'm like, look at this. And she's sitting here going like this, freezing. I'm like, dude, don't. And he's like, oh. And he like goes that way. I'm like, dude, you can't just walk over here. You're going to ruin it. Because she's going to instantly know something's up if she sees people that she knows there.
Well, especially your brother.
Oh, my God. My brother doesn't know. So my brother's not them just pop out anywhere.
And even like my brother and my dad were there. Like, I didn't know this, but if I would have seen them, I'd be like, what the freak? Like, what are they doing?
And I really did. Like I saw her brother, and I was like, you're gonna see him because you can see Steven like crazy.
My dad and brother,
he's so big, you
spot
can just
out
see
anywhere.
him.
Anywhere you can spot them out. It's way easier than playing Mars Lotto. You can't like. I don't know. They're easy to spot. They're so goofy and tall, like.
You can see them. So basically, the throwdown happened. There's 60 seconds for to see who can create the best thing. And one of the captains was making a rabbit, and Eric was just sitting there yawning or whatever. And he had white ice over the sculptor. So in a second, so he took the flame torch. At the last like 15 seconds, just blew it off. And Mayor Snow, who's our mayor in our small town, he was like, "What's it say, Eric? Will you marry me?" And during that time, I got down on one knee, and we're in the center of a whole bunch of people, like going like around, which we'll show a little snippet of the.
At the end of the video, you'll see the actual what happened. We have a video that his cousin did. But what I was going to say when he cut me off and wouldn't let me speak.
Before you were rudely interrupted.
Yeah, I don't even know because I don't really talk.
So anyway, when
he proposed, fireworks went off though.
Because I wanted the extra, and I knew she was gonna say yeah.
I should have said no.
So the fireworks went off, and I love it. So it was awesome. And then also later in the day, before I picked her up, before she got off work, I contacted a food place around us called Gallows, and where I was going to take her out to dinner after. because our date night, I literally said, well, we're just going to go to the Meltdown, just watch Ice Sculptors, and then a movie. No, I did say a movie, and then dinner, which there was no movie.
We still were going to go to the movie, though.
It was after, but we were both like so tired. We were like, no, we didn't go.
I ripped my eyelashes off. I was like, let's go home.
You did, because you tried to throw one out of the window and it came back in, and it's on my window just slinking down. Yeah, that was good. So it was, I contacted them and said on a plate, like, happy engagement with a heart, and then ice cream, chocolate cake, a whole bunch of stuff like that. And it was fun. Like, the whole thing went perfect. And yeah, I did a lot of steps into that to get that thing perfect. And she knew a proposal was coming, but she didn't know when and how. And I, being the extra person that I am, I like it being big and loud. Everything I do. So, yeah.
And after he did propose, like, we went out to the crowd, and, like, next thing you know, all my family's flocking me. It was, like, my uncle on my mom's side, my granny, my mom, my dad, my brother, and, what was it, 2 uncles on my dad's side, and then my aunt.
Yeah.
So it was just, like, a whole bunch of people, and then, like, he had his aunt, his mama. Did I say my granny was there? My granny was there.
Family. It was family.
Yeah. So as soon as, like, I seen all them, I started crying. I'm like, oh, like, let me see it. And, like, the ring's just falling off my finger because my finger, it was too big. But on top of that,
it was so cold. It
would literally fit if it wasn't so cold. Like, normal days, I could wear it fine. And then since I was so cold, it was just like, I'm like, ah. But yeah, that's how he proposed.
And that's how I proposed.
And you guys will see the video of, like, that actual night and that actual day.
And that's about it. Right?
Yeah.
So make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Bye.
We're going to pick a judge. If you want to judge this, raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay, over here. You guys. You guys, come on up here. Where's our timer? Timer, get 1 minute on the clock. Well, the animal is determined that we are going to do this. We are going to have a 1 minute prelim. Yes, please escort our judges up here. Hang on a second. We got to start the timer. Let's get our judges in place. Judges, come on up here. Judges, come on up here. Right here in the front. All the way up here. If you're going to judge this, we have never done a 60-second prelim. Right there. You're right there in the grass. Yeah, where you're safe from the fire. Okay. That's your safe spot. 60 seconds on the clock timer. On your marks, get set, go. 60 seconds, fired up. 60 seconds on the clock. Oh, Eric the animal. Let's hear it for the animal. He egged this on, but now he's stretching. That's 10 seconds already gone. 10 seconds already gone.
Stretching is the most important thing.
We have never had a 60-second prelim fight. 40 seconds on the clock. A 60-second prelim. Eric's doing nothing. He's doing nothing.
Let's hear it for Team Fire! Fire!
30 seconds on the clock. Oh, now Eric starts digging in. 60 seconds only to see who can carve better between Axel Hutchison and Eric the Animal. I don't know when this argument started, but apparently we're going to settle it right now. Clock's ticking down. 15 seconds, guys. Clocking down quick. 10 seconds left on the clock. You guys better get this done quick because you're going to have to turn these around. All right, blockheads, help me count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it, guys. Oh, Hacksaw says he's got a little more to do here. So apparently it's a 65-second throwdown. I think Team Fire is going to have a fit about that.
What?
Whoa, what? There is no way, Eric the Animal. No way. Eric the Animal unveiling a piece on his side. What is this? What is this, Eric the Animal? Hang on, he's getting the blowtorch. Eric the Animal's bringing out the blowtorch now. And, well, Eric, is this from you? This says, will you marry me?
Yes, Eric, of course.
Oh, look what's happening. Look what's happening, blockheads. We have a live proposal happening at Meltdown. This has never happened before. A live marriage proposal. And she said yes! She said yes! It's official! Oh, a life together started right here at the Meltdown Throwdown. Congratulations! We have never done anything like this before. Eric the Animal, you helped them start their life. How romantic is this, blockheads? Look at this. Wow. Never seen anything like this. Congratulations to both of you. Blockheads, you witnessed a proposal tonight.
Hey, can I just say, I think that means Team Fire wins that. I think.
Oh, remember. Oh, and Hacksaw. What's that?
Oh, tell her to kiss the prince.